The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to find out what the programming available is on the X Zone Broadcast Network, 24/7, 365, and of course, that's with our compliments, just go to www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Medium J. She is a radiantly outgoing person who absolutely loves life and everything that goes with it. She has an incredible ability to see spirit around her. People call her tattle-talers. I don't know why they do that. She's such a nice lady. I've had the opportunity of speaking to her briefly before we went on air. They, the spirits, are your loved ones who essentially never really go far away, even after they cross over. This is a quote. "I love my connection to the other side," she claims. "My mother always told me that things happened for a reason, but couldn't tell me why they did. So I simply started trusting myself with that. It was I felt, sensed, and heard. The rest is history." Joining me now is Medium J. And Medium J, welcome to the X Zone.
Hi, how you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. And tell us a little bit more about yourself and what happened on your trip, your quest, from being that little girl to the time you are now as a very well-known and respected medium.
Well, I had such a great experience when I was younger, but what happened with me basically is I had a near-death experience, when I was close to 4 years old. And, at the time, I really didn't know what happened to me. All I knew is that I had a lot of pain. I had some injuries that I had to deal with. And I was out of commission for a few weeks. When I get home from the hospital, I started noticing little things that I hadn't really noticed before, but you're young, right? So I just, you're just maturing, whatever, but I had an understanding of humans and at a deeper level than I really should. And I didn't understand that. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I always, with my parents and everything else, and after they discovered that I had this gift, and after we went through my entire story, what brought me here today was actually my mother's death. And it's funny because I was lucky because my mother was a practicing psychic between 1961 and 1983. And she taught me a lot of things, and she taught me especially to trust my senses. And, when you were talking about the tattle-talers, it's actually, spirit that tattle-tales, because I'm able to tell people what they've done very privately, things that they've eaten or things that they've done, little fits that they've taken when they're by themselves.
Right.
And they wonder how I know that, but I always say that I have tattle-talers from the other side. But what brings me here today, and it's funny because I never thought in a million years I was going to do anything like this. And the thing is, my mother's passing really taught me that you're here, really come here with nothing. You pretty well leave with the same thing. And that really you have to pursue your passion and be happy for what you are, what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And made me realize that my 20 some odd year job in government service was really not where I wanted to be. and I had hidden my gifts most of my life because growing up, it was okay for my mom to do stuff because she had tea leaves, but it wasn't okay for me because I didn't have anything like that. And so my father really shunned me from it, and actually he scared me from it because he told me that people would think I'm crazy. I had quite an experience when I was 9, and I realize now that he did it to protect me. But when you're younger, you don't realize those things,
Isn't that the truth?
So yeah. But so here I am today. It's funny. I quit my job back in 2010, and I quickly gained, great following, and I was fortunate enough to expand my career at a very high level. So I'm kind of excited about my life and the messages that I have for people. So I'm kind of happy to be doing what I'm doing.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible that since your mother was a very talented psychic medium like yourself, that this ability was passed down to you by her DNA, by your very genetics?
I believe that, Rob, because she always told me that she felt that I had always been like this, but that, the near drowning that I had was a kick in the pants to kind of make me realize that I am a little bit different because, I fell off quite a big embankment. I was sitting on a tricycle, and my brother and I were playing Evel Knievel stuff, and we were going down this hill, and he had my cousin Norm's bike, which was much bigger than my cousin Carol's bike, and Carol was a little bit younger than me. So when I was riding that bike, my knees were hitting the handlebars, so my brother told me to stick my feet out.
Ooh.
And that wasn't such a great idea, especially going downhill. Yeah. And I didn't make the corner he made. I tumbled off the embankment and fell into the lake below. So I was really lucky, actually, that I didn't fall into my uncle's airplane. But the thing is, I fell in about 3.5 feet of water. So the thing is, I think that kind of changed who I was, right, and made me, even at that young age, made me realize that I was a little bit different than other people. I always kind of knew that.
Maybe you can we can start by saying, well, what is the difference in a psychic and a medium?
Well, there's a huge difference, and actually I vlogged about these subjects because I have so many people coming to see me, let's say just for a psychic reading. But the thing is, I kind of tell people what I hear, see, sense, smell. So those are called clairsenses, and clair, C-L-A-I-R, which means clair in French, clear. So clairsenses or clairvoyance, the ability to reach into another vibrational frequency and visually perceive within the mind's eye something existing in that realm. So clairvoyance is someone who receives these kind of extrasensory impressions, and it sort of like forms an inner sight, mental images, and from there they see these things. Now some clairvoyances, or as they say, psychics, either see the present, the past, or the future, or some have the ability to just have a really clear sense, and they'll be able to tell you all kinds of things. I'm a psychic medium, so I have the clairsensitive clairvoyance, but I have a really strong clairaudience and clairsentience sense to me. So clairaudience is clear audio hearing, right, perceiving sounds or words, even extrasensory noises from sources broadcast, some people even from other realms. And some people can kind of form that inner ear or mental tone, and they kind of interpret these tones. And it's interesting with me, it's like I hear a really quick story in my head, or I just know it, And so mediums mostly work with clairvoyance and clairaudience. Most mediums are always psychics. Psychics are not always mediums. Sometimes they'll know spirits there, but they don't know what the heck it wants, Then there's clairsentience. Clairsentience is just like a clear sensation, a clear feeling. And it's perceiving information, and, feeling within the whole body, or the whole, like you're just feeling all of that, or you just know stuff. It's like a clair empathy. You just know things, and you don't know why you know them, but you know them,
Has there ever been a time since you started doing your work as a medium psychic that you regret having this gift?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you, Rob, I never really felt that I had a gift. My mother always said that gift was, and it's not to get religious or anything, but she always referred to it as God's influence flows through, But with me, I think this is just really a natural ability for me. It's something that's inbred. It's not something that you can practice or know. Like, it's funny, I had a manager who was a very well-known country music award winner, and he managed me for a bit. He's actually a cousin of mine, and he said, Jay, he says, I don't know how you do it. He says, I can go out in Nashville, I can go out and do a concert, and I know the set like the back of my hand. I know every single song in my sleep. And he says, but you go out there not even knowing who's sitting in there, who bought tickets at the door, anything. And he goes, you just put yourself out there. But you know what? It's just there. And that's the thing. I think that, some people say, well, how do you turn that off? You can't. It's like asking you to go blind for 5 minutes. You can't do that unless, there's a physical reason or a medical reason.
Hey, Jay, you and I have to take our first break. Please stand by. Exonation Medium Jay is our special guest. Her website is www.mediumjaylane.com. That's mediumjaylane.com. That's JAYLANE.com. And Medium J and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Gwilda Wiyaka's latest book, The Science of Magic, Book of Mysteries, Volume 1, is the first book in a series based on her writings that open every episode of the Science of Magic radio show. Drawing on the subject matter of each guest, and armed with over 40 years' experience in shamanism, 35 years in alternative health, and degrees in psychology and religious studies, Gwilda introduces relevant and leading-edge information that supports spiritual evolution and personal empowerment. Rich with wisdom and inspirational quotes packaged in digestible segments, this is a book that will pull you from cover to cover. It will also serve as a daily inspirational reading for years to come. The Science of Magic Book of Mysteries, Volume 1 is available at our website, tsompublications.com, amazon.com, and wherever fine books are sold. Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. Exonation, the Medium J is our special guest of this hour, and if you'd like to contact Medium J for a one-on-one consultation, just go to www.mediumjlane.com, and don't forget that's Medium, JAYLANE.com. Jay, where do we come from? I mean, where do our souls come from?
I believe that before we come here, we come from another consciousness. Mm-hmm. And we don't have an awareness of that consciousness, because if we did, we'd all want to be there. We wouldn't want to be here at all. And I believe that, we choose other souls, and souls, I refer to them as souls, but those are energies that are not human yet. Okay? It's before we come here. I call that the before life. But before we come here, we choose souls. And we choose groups of different souls, good ones. And soulmates could be yay and they could be nay. We're here to learn lessons, right?
Sure. Yep.
And everybody's heard that big rumor. Two things, I'm here to learn lessons. And I'll say, what's your lesson? They'll say, oh, I don't know, but I know I'm here to learn lessons. But where we come from is a different consciousness altogether. And, we decide to come here to this earthly plane. And it's kind of, and I explain this to people, like a school for souls. It's exactly what it is. They come here to learn emotionally, physically, and mentally what it is that they want and what it is that they don't want, so that they could progress to let's say, a higher level once they go back to their original state. So after we've come here and then gone back to the other side. But I believe that we come from a totally different consciousness. And a consciousness doesn't have body. It doesn't have an ego like a human does, because that's how we learn. Egotistically speaking, we're human. We learn through emotions. We learn through insults, joy, happiness, anger. We learn what we want, what we don't want, and through suffering or happiness. But the thing is, that soul comes from this different, they call it the universe or out there. But I believe that we're all very connected energy-wise, and that we separate ourselves to come here. And then once we go back, we just grow to a higher level. But it's interesting, it really falls in as to why we're here, which is, the reason why we're here basically is to learn these lessons so that we can graduate to that higher plane,
So how long do we stay here? Do we stay here, for example, if you don't get it this lifetime, do you come back here and then do you stay here until you get it and then you go?
I used to think that, and I used to think that the soul would repeat its life, reincarnate. I call it recycling, to keep up with the times. But at the end of the day, I think that every soul has a different, let's say, lesson to learn and a different goal. And I believe that every time the soul comes back, it picks a little bit harder of a lesson. And, I tell people, you've picked your lessons, and they go, well, what do you mean? And, I'll see people who are, let's say, been very physically abused by a spouse, let's say. And I said, that person was a perfect soulmate for you, perfect teacher. And they'll go, what do you mean? That's terrible that you're saying that. I said, no. You're going to go through it. You did go through it. But at the end of the day, are you ever going to go through that again? And they say, well, no, because I've learned I don't want that. And exactly, that person made an agreement with you before you came here to teach you what you want, what you don't want. These are very loving agreements. You know what I mean? And so it's interesting that you asked that. But the thing is, they do, there's not really a time frame for it. I would say that, every soul, if I recycled back in, let's say, I could choose, different type of lesson every single time. It doesn't have to be the same lesson. The thing is, if I would have chosen, let's say, a partner that was very abusive, my lesson may have been to let go of that relationship so that I can help other people, along on their path. And so everything happens for a reason. I mean, that's why we have so many advocates, because they've been through so many terrible experiences. They want to help others. And that's changing the negative to the positive. And it's sort of like breaking that mold so that that your children and their children are not going to follow the same abusive patterns, let's say,
So how does a person know if they're on the right path or not?
Sometimes we don't. A lot of people feel fear, And, we're creators. I don't care what anyone says, but, if we were created in his image and whatever it is, because I've heard that before, or her image. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that makes me human, I would think, because if I'm in that person's image, but it also makes me a creator.
That's right.
Yeah. So the thing is, I create, and if I don't create children, I'm going to create what it is that I think or what I imagine, because this is my consciousness.
Right.
There's different levels of consciousness that goes along with all of this. Remember, I told you we come from a different consciousness altogether,
yes,
which is the other side. Okay. But the thing is, in that form, you don't have anything. But when you come here, you have a physical body. When you leave, you no longer have one. But the thing is, I don't know, I guess, how to explain that, but what was your question again? I was trying to go on to this one. I'm looking at the list here, but how the soul basically, when it comes back here, it learns what it wants, what it doesn't want through these emotions. So it's very, very hard sometimes for a person to accept those types of things. When I tell people that they've chosen that path and, in a different consciousness, they chose this, they go, are you crazy? But the thing is, at the end of the day, they don't have that human ego on the other side. So before we come here, we make loving agreements between those souls to go through those things. So when we die and we meet, let's say, all of these people, because, we've created children, we're creators, right? Once we go back to the other side, we'll have a complete understanding of what our life lesson was, but you don't bring that human ego back with you. So you don't really care about the terrible things you've been through. It's like being in a totally different consciousness.
What happens to a soul who commits suicide?
That is a little bit different. Most people that die is an instant body to soul transformation. And the thing is, when you die, it doesn't take 20 minutes to get there. It's instant. And the thing is, some souls don't know that they've died. So for instance, if I'm walking down the highway and I get hit by a truck from behind, I had no clue, because I had, maybe my earmuffs on, all of a sudden I'm going to go, where the heck am I? So some of those souls stay grounded, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that, while they're grounded, they still have a little bit of that human ego. They haven't crossed through the light yet. And the thing is, they have no awareness of where they are. Some of them think they're stuck in a dream, or they don't know why they can't get out. But those usually cross in a very short time. I'd say 2 to 3, let's say, human days, if you had to measure it in human time. But those who commit suicide have broken a contractual agreement. So, and I believe that. Some people don't, but the reason I believe that is because of my own experiences with, very difficult situation that happened in my own family. And I experienced it differently. But a suicide, what happens is, if I was supposed to be married to somebody and I was supposed to have 3 children, and I was supposed to learn all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, patience, tough love, that kind of thing with one of the kids. But one day, I'm driving by and I see, I see my husband hugging, some woman or something. You know what I mean? I go home and I bail out of my agreement. I commit suicide. Well, I was supposed to have 3 kids with that person. I was supposed to go through all of these life lessons. We chose that before we came here. But the thing is, I bailed out. So the person left behind didn't have the 3 kids. They didn't, go through the sex, drugs, and rock and roll and learning the patience and the tough love. Maybe that's what was supposed to happen.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible that the suicide was part of the plan?
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it's on the how-to list of dying at all. I don't. It's a broken agreement. We usually have 5 exits to our lifetime. And the thing is, I believe I've had a couple already that I haven't taken. And some people take them because they know that they're going to have too much damage, or they know that the other person's going to suffer too much by watching them suffer. So they may decide to leave really quickly. But it's a very quick thought process. Trust me, it just happens. And the thing is, I believe that, I had another accident point where I thought for sure I was going to die. And I thought, oh my God, is this it? Like, I can't believe it. And I actually had that thought process in my head, like it was more of a shock. But the thing is, with suicides, I believe it's that broken agreement. They stay grounded because they have to step in the shoes of those that they've affected. And so they have to learn, that they've broken this agreement. Once they've accepted that, some of them won't accept the light, like they don't want to accept living here. Yeah. And so if they don't accept the light, they'll stay grounded, which means that they still have human emotions, but they're stuck in between realms. It's a really terrible place to be. So when you hear of hauntings and grounded spirits, that's what that means. And it's usually suicides or people that, had traumatic passings or very violent sometimes passings. Sometimes you have to send them through,
All right, stand by. We've got to take our break at the bottom of the hour for the news. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour is Medium J. And if you'd like to contact Medium J for a one-on-one consultation, her website is www.mediumjlane.com. That's www.mediumjlane.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X-Zone continues from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, this week on Friday at 1 minute past midnight, that's Thursday going into Friday Eastern, the new edition of the X Chronicles will be released online at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Don't go away.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God,
the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
If you'd like to find out all about the programming we have available for you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net, where the programming 24/7, 365 is with our compliments. That's www.xzbn.net. Let me just get back to the suicide for a second here. We're learning more and more that mental illness plays a big part in the majority of suicides that we learn about. And we're learning more as time goes on. More money is being spent into mental health, more research, more scientific advancements, and so on. So learning that suicide is an illness caused by, I mean that mental illness is an illness, and if the person commits suicide because of mental illness, does that make a difference in how they go, to where they go, and how they go?
Yes, I believe so, because some people will sometimes take an accidental overdose. You know what I mean? And that happens quite often, actually. A lot of people are told, and I get this experience quite often, where I have a client and they say, well, the police said that this was an overdose, like a suicide. And you know, sometimes I think, oh my goodness, because I don't get that sense, but I mean, I'm not always right as well. I mean, we're all human, right? But at the end of the day, the way I get the sense about that is when someone breaks that contract, whether they're ill or not, this is what you're going through. The thing is your life path, and these illnesses, sometimes we don't help ourselves to get out of it, or we cower to fear. And so we let, unfortunately, all these emotions overtake us. And I feel so bad, for people that do have mental illnesses, because it's a very, and especially depression, because it's very, very rampant in our communities, in our country, and more people suffer so much from it because it's a tough life out there and there's a lot of pressure. I believe that when someone takes their life, they still have to go through that, being grounded, but they're most likely to be saved or to be taken through to the other side by other spirits. And the thing is, a lot of these, and even though they are, ill or committed suicide due to deep depression or medications or whatever the case may be, some of them still won't accept the light. I've encountered spirits that have been grounded for years, and it's because they still feel that they still should be depressed and that that's what they deserve. And, I didn't go through the light, so I guess this is what I deserve, is this life of misery, and they'll refuse to go through. And so I do believe that it really depends on the life contract, all of the, things that you were supposed to go through and learn, because there's a life review. Once you go through to the other side, it's like the slides of life. Remember going through the light and seeing all of these different stages of my life through these slides. But the thing is, the suicide doesn't quite have the same thing. It's still grounded just the same as, a traumatic death or a murder or somebody that was hit from that transport from behind. They're sort of like, whoa, what the heck just happened? So they stay in that realm. It's sort of like, don't go past go just yet. What the heck happened? And so they won't accept the light either. They're going, okay, is this a dream, or what the heck's happening? So that's kind of like the way I look at it, or the way I feel about it after doing so many readings for so many years. It's been basically my experience with the souls.
Prior to coming on air, you and I were chatting, and you mentioned the pathos. I was wondering if you could tell us more about that.
Oh, I was with Pathos for a bit, and
Pathos,
now
right.
I'm going to be I'm going to be a contributor for them. But I was really excited about Pathos. And actually, my vlog is still there. It's called Just Ask Jay, and I started Just Ask Jay vlog because I used to get hundreds of questions every single week about, where do I go when I die, or do souls have emotions or feelings, or, I dreamt of my father. Is that him? Like, is that a visitor? Mm-hmm. So I started doing all of these videos because they're like little info videos, and I started making a library and kind of cataloging them. But I was their second vlogger. Actually, their first vlogger was Mark Nepos, who's Oprah's guru, spiritual guru, and he's amazing. I just love him. But I was kind of excited to be vlogging for them. But I got so very busy with my touring schedule that I pulled back for a while. I'm going to be doing some contributions for them. But once I'm done my touring, then I'm going to be more likely to go back to Pathos. I'm kind of excited about it, and I love their platform, and they have actually it's quite a large network. I mean, there's everything from atheism to Buddhism,
the entire spectrum.
Everything.
Okay, listen, let me ask you this. Why do you think so many people in the 21st century are so interested in death? And how do we know who's telling us the truth and who's just making it up as they go along?
No, I know, and isn't that interesting? But a lot of people want to know where they're going after they die. And there's so many movies about that. There was one, I think, with Robert Redford or something. And about, if you committed suicide, and everybody started committing suicide or something in this movie. I forget which one it is. But there is a huge interest because I think, and I hate to say this, but certain things either don't make sense in today's society, or we're just kind of conforming to what it is people want to know, because people are starting to realize that they have other senses and that they do have these, as we call them, gifts. I just think they're just really natural abilities. We have so many different types of people, and I've seen so many different gifts in my life, and people tell me stuff that blew my mind. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I think people are just more aware in the society, and they're more aware that there's something bigger than just this. There's got to be. We're just too intellectual. We've evolved too quickly when you look at things. We now know that there's UFOs out there and alien life. There's got to be. I mean, we're not alone.
But if there's alien life out there, how come there's no proof?
I don't know why there's no proof. I've seen all kinds of little things that I think are interesting. I've experienced some different things myself, but I don't know. It's just like, are ants aliens? Are, bats aliens? We don't know that. Alien just means unknown or foreign, right? But the thing is, we're not alone. Definitely not. And there's too many different.
Could it be part of the human ego to be unable to accept, in a lot of cases, that life has to go on because there has to be more, instead of just being realistic and saying, well, this is it. You're here for a good time, not for a long time.
I think being realistic is just sort of like accepting, a non-belief system. I don't know. I think people know that there's something else. I mean, even with my near-death experience, the things that I experienced are almost, my mother said, like, how do you know that? I knew, and my grandfather died in 1952. He fell off a building, off the third floor of a building, and he cracked his head open. And they had trouble with the swelling around the brain, and they were getting infection in there, so they shipped him from Northern Ontario to Toronto. And when he was in Toronto, he died on the operating table. So they, at the time, back in 1952, they had telexed my mother and father to go pick up my grandfather at the train station, but they forgot to mention somewhere along the line that he had passed away on the operating table. So when my mom and my aunt and my dad, my uncle, and the kids went to the train station to see Grandpa, they thought that they were picking up someone that was sick, and so everybody, and they didn't have sitters back then, so they carted the kids everywhere. And when they got there, the train conductor told my father, who you looking for? So when he showed him the letter, he goes, oh my. And he goes, what's wrong? He goes, come with me. And he took him to the back of the train and showed him the coffin, like just a wooden box, I guess, with my grandfather in it. And my grandfather had died, but I knew that. when I told her that she cried because my grandfather had come home on the train and it made my mom cry, she knew right away that something was askew. Because nobody ever told me that. He died 8 years before I had my near death, but that's who came to get me. So I don't know, is that my imagination? Is that, what is that? And every time someone tries to talk me out of that, I say, no, you know what? It's too clear to me. And there's no way I could have known about that story. Nobody ever told me. I was only 3.5 years old. I wouldn't even have an understanding of it,
Right.
So, yeah. And so that's what I said. I said, when your daddy came home, you cried because you saw him on the train and you cried. And that's exactly what she said. She says, I saw the pine box and went into shock. And it was unfortunate. My mother was pregnant at the time. And I think that caused her to have a miscarriage. So she lost the children she was pregnant for twins. So, but the thing is, it's I don't know. I think that my dad was like that. My dad was very, there's no other side. That's BS. When you die, you go in a hole and you rot there. That's it. The bugs eat you. You're done. And my mother would just say, you know what, you need to believe in more. But I think my parents were my perfect teachers too, because my dad was always so opposed to it all my life. And I've been exposed to absolutely everything. My mother used to talk about everything from hauntings to UFOs to spirits to psychic work. From the time I was very young, we had clients come in the house from the time I was just a little girl.
All right, Jay, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. X-Zone Nation. Medium J Lane is our special guest. www.mediumjlane.com is her website. And don't forget, X-Zone Nation, you can always find out who, what, when, where, why of the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Our full broadcast schedule is there. All you need to do is go to www.xzbn.net. And we have some great new shows starting in the near future, so keep watching the broadcast schedule. This is X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour with Medium J Lane. Don't go away. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Season 1 of the X-Zone TV show was available for one and all to see, as well as some other productions that we have done over the years here at the X-Zone TV and the X channel. All you need to do is go to www.xzonetv.com. That's XZONE TV.com. Medium J Lane is my special guest. Her website is www.mediumjlane.com. And how do you help a spirit who is trapped on this side to go to the other side, Jay?
Well, there's different ways and different techniques that other people use, and I've heard of so many, anything from banishing rituals to lighting candles and different things. But really, to send a spirit over to the other side, anybody really can do that. You don't have to be a psychic or a medium to do it. A lot of people sense energies in their homes, or they sense different things around them. And usually what I tell people, is to basically visualize, who they think is around them, because we usually, feel things. We sort of like build a personality to our spirits, or we imagine how they would look, or if we felt a name or something around them. So we usually give them a personality. And the thing is, I usually tell people to just simply close their eyes and talk to that spirit, even if inside their head, because they're in a different consciousness altogether. And I just tell them to let them know that they've passed away, and that they don't realize that they're still, grounded here, and that to realize that they definitely have no more life to them, and that they really need to go towards the light, or they really need to go towards the energy that's drawing them, and not to be afraid of it. Because spirits that are grounded have egos, and they still have human type of emotions, so they can experience fear. And it's like being stuck in a kind of bad dream. You can't get out of it. You know what I mean? And so that's what I usually tell people to do. Some people, I'll get them to visualize a white light. If they can't do that, you can use a white candle, and you can, light a candle in their honor, ask them to walk towards the white light. And once you see them walk through that door, you just close the door and you make sure it's sealed. And the thing is, people can do that very simply. The thing is, sometimes that doesn't work. You have to get a little nastier. So that's when you start using, smudge or sage, to kind of put more positive energy into your area to rid yourself of spirits that are grounded. Because some of them can be like kind of energy draining, or you walk into a room. You ever walk into a room where you're thinking, oh my God, did somebody die in here?
Yeah.
Or oh my God, did something terrible ever happen here? And you'll get that feeling, and that's like that residual energy that's there. And when they're grounded, they will take up your energy, and they'll make you feel like, some people feel nauseous, or some people feel depressed. Some people even want to cry, or just want to leave, or some people just can't control their emotions. So smudging is always good. There's different ways of smudging, of course, and you can use like cedar. I prefer using sage with lavender, and I also use, for nastier types of energies, or really heavy type of energies, or ones that really don't want to go away. I use Palo Santo wood, and that's from the cypress trees in, I believe Peru, I think, in South America somewhere anyways, but it's from the cypress tree. It has a really amazing scent to it. It's a very hard wood, but it's a beautiful, they call it the holy wood, but it really banishes like negative energy, but it really, and it promotes good luck actually, but it gets rid of evil. And I kind of like that. And especially for someone that's really not experienced with that kind of stuff. And if they've been playing with Ouija boards and stuff like that, they can also attract like kind of other things, So I always tell them, like, don't do that. Don't play with those things. A Ouija board on its own is not a big deal, but you don't want to open the doors to anything. You want to kind of get rid of that stuff. So what you want to do is you would just cleanse your energy around. Some people use rituals with holy water, and it doesn't have to be like from a church. People can actually bless their own salts or water. They can do that. There's actually ways of doing it. You could research on the internet. But there's so many different ways, you can call upon Archangel Michael. There's just so many different belief systems out there. But what works for me the most is basically talking them through if they're just kind of stuck or if they're a little bit nasty or smudging. And sometimes you got to do it more than once. You got to reclaim your space and tell them to get out.
With the years that you've been doing your psychic medium work, what has been the most rewarding thing that you have done to help a person in their life?
You know what? I think the most rewarding thing that I did, and I've done a lot of things that I feel so blessed about, but I just recently did a huge fundraiser for Health Sciences North Ronald McDonald Charities of Toronto here in northeastern Ontario. And I was just so honored that they let me sponsor an event. And I gave every single dime there. And it just made me feel good because it made me feel that I'm not just helping people with closure, but I'm also helping, our children who are sick, have a little bit more, their parents have a little bit more, I guess, just feel a little bit more relief around some of their expenses and different things. So that was really, really quite rewarding for me. And I felt just so great about doing it, So I got to say that's probably my number one for that.
Now let me ask you this. When it comes to the different philosophies that are out there, all right, you were mentioning spirits, then you mentioned Archangel Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second, hold on here. Take a breath. How do people manipulate or handle both the New Age spirituality that basically conflicts with established religious philosophy and then still use guardian angel names in something that is not recognized by religion?
Exactly. And when I was talking about the different types of banishing rituals, some people will use that. And in the modern age, people like Doreen Virtue that have like different types of, tarot card decks with angels and use these types of things. Yeah. A lot of people find healing from that. And they feel that those angels help them. With me, I believe that angels are not for humans. In a sense they are, but I think they were, a higher purpose. There's different phylums of angels and different things like that. But my belief is simply in consciousness. A lot of people call me a medium and they say, okay, you speak to the dead, but I don't think that I speak to the dead. What I think I do is I connect with a consciousness that not a lot of people can. And I think that's different. But you can kill off a body, but you can never kill off an energy. You can't kill off a soul or whatever you want to call it. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people do mix in this religious type of idealism to their mediumship work or to their psychic work even. But I kind of got away from that. When I first started, I didn't know how to class myself really because what do I call myself? People say, well, you're a psychic medium. So that's what I went with because that's what I got the reputation as. But the thing is with me, I always just said I can just connect with these energies that are in a different consciousness. That's what I do. And so, so I don't tie religion to what I do.
Okay.
Necessarily.
How much of the New Age, and I'm talking about spiritual, New Age spiritualism, psychic, mediumship, and anything that uses a point or practice of divination, how much of that is actually a placebo effect?
I'm not sure. The thing is, I don't really, a lot of people say, what do you study? What courses have you taken? How have you developed your skill? I've never done anything like that. What do you read and what do you believe in? Honestly, I am who I am. Like, I just tell people what I hear, what I see, what I sense, what I
right.
I
But what I'm
smell.
getting at, I'm getting at is when you've got somebody in front of you or on the telephone or Skyping.
Yeah.
And you start giving them what you perceive, your visions, your clairaudience, your clairsentient, or whatever. How much of what you tell them is being looked at? Like you said, not everybody's perfect, not everybody's right all the time.
That's true.
So how much of this, when you're when any psychic or any medium is talking to somebody they're doing a reading for, is actual fact, or is it more of a placebo effect where somebody is actually getting somebody to listen to them and actually giving them feedback?
I just kind of think that I'm not too sure on how to answer that. Like, when I'm talking to someone, I give them such specific details. I don't know, like, where I get the time of death from, or like any of these things. So, but when they tell me, oh my God, that's the time my dad died, or that's, the thing is, I don't know if that's a placebo effect or not. I have no clue. You know what I'm saying? All I know is that when someone sits in front of you, it's up to them to have up to a certain belief system. And some people expect quite a bit when you're sitting in front of you. Trust me. They want you to know everything.
Sure.
But the thing is, I think that when you're giving them stuff that's like totally off the mark and that has nothing to do with like your general type of stuff, I think it really changes a person. And when they understand about death and where they're going, I think it just makes life a little bit easier to live.
All right, Medium J. Lane, you and I have to say so long for now. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about Medium J. Lane, her website is www.mediumjlane.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.